Chevy Trailblazer 2002, I believe, to 2009. Mine's an LTZ, but it's the same for pretty much all of these Trailblazers. Now, this is actually a 4.2 liter Vortec 4200 inline 6. These engines were made by company as Vortec, and they were also made by a company called Atlas. There's two different versions of these engines. One thing to know is if you have an S in the VIN number, it's going to look a little bit different. And what I mean by that is, the first thing you're going to notice right off the bat is this little meter here, which actually it tells you the cleanliness of your air cleaner. So that's a dead giveaway. The other thing is, if you can see down here, you see a plate here where the EGR valve module is. If it's not an S engine or S in your VIN number, there's going to be a module there, EGR valve of some type. If there's a plate there, you have an S version, and you could see that in your VIN number. The other thing is that I've seen a lot of people make these mistakes online, and it's costly because it takes quite a few hours. Changing the thermostat on this engine, what people think is like the old school vehicle. You see, here's the hose, and here's that little pipe, and it looks like it goes right into the engine there, and that's where you thermostat from, or replace the thermostat. And what I've seen people do is take all of this apart, including the power steering pump. However, that's somewhat irrelevant at this point, because where the thermostat is really located is on the driver's side of the vehicle, way down there, which I can't show you right now, but you can follow that by, you can find that by the lower radiator hose. It comes up to another pipe that looks very similar to that one, but that has a thermostat. So the thermostat is actually built within that pipe. So you have to replace that whole part. Now that you can do from underneath the vehicle. I've seen some people do it through the wheel well, but it is a couple hour process. Now, the other thing is where you're going to find the crankshaft sensor is going to also be on the same side. And again, I apologize for the poor lighting, but at least giving you a reference, is down below there. You're going to see it right by the starter, in front of the starter there, and you're going to see two things there. One of them is the map sensor module. It's towards the back. The one towards the front is going to be the crankshaft sensor, not to be confused with anything else. Okay, that's the crankshaft sensor. Okay, so this is the S version of this vehicle. The other thing that you're going to see is where you're going to find the camshaft sensor. That's a blessing, because that's right here. It's one 10mm bolt, one simple plug. It comes out very easy and clean. There's no programming. And any time you change a module on this, stick with AC Delco, Delphi, or there's a brand or two that I'm not 100%, but if you go on rockauto.com, Rock Auto does give you the benefit where they show you the actual procedure of changing those sensors, if they're actually require dealer programming, or if you need a higher end scanner to actually relearn these sensors in. I did not have to do that. I replaced this. I had no issues. And here's another thing right there. That is actually called the crank, I believe, the crankshaft solenoid. That gets dirty in here. Now, if you unplug this and you do remove it, you can clean the screen and stick it back in without having to purchase a new one. I always recommend new, and there's no programming involved in this as well, and that you can buy just about any brand, but I would stick with what came with the vehicle. This is the one, sadly enough, because it's about 4 inches longer than what you see here, so it would obviously hit the power steering pump. That's where moving the power steering pump for this solenoid, and that's a solenoid, okay, not to be confused with the sensor. That's the crankshaft solenoid, and that's going to be where you have to actually remove the power steering pump. There's a pulley down here for your power steering. You're going to first have to take off the serpentine belt, and then you're just going to have to turn the pulley, take off one bolt, turn the pulley, take off another belt, turn the pulley, take off a third bolt. I do believe they're 13 millimeters, and just kind of shift it out of the way, and this will go, this here, your power steering pump and reservoir will just simply move just enough for you to slip this solenoid out, okay? And then when you put everything back, obviously put that back, put your serpentine belt on, and that's pretty much good to go. One other issue that people are always online talking about, the PVC valve. Both versions of this model, 4.2 liter, does not have by any means a PVC valve. It has a PVC system. This here is the air box, okay? So the air box actually generates and circulates, and there's an air circulator. I believe it's around, it's hard to get a light on it, but it's over here somewhere. But you don't have to worry about that. This is the air box. Below here you have 2 hoses. A lot of times what happens is that hose rots or just pops off. It's an S-shaped hose. On Amazon it's $13. You can buy cheaper ones for $7. And then you have to cut them and trim them. Just buy the one for $13. It's the AC Delco. It fits on 100%, no issues. And again, no PVC valve. It's a PVC system. It goes through your EGR valve. It goes through other modules on this vehicle, and it's circulated through the air box, and you don't have to worry about it. And that's basically it. If you do have any problem with your accelerator, it's kind of like every once in a while you step on the gas, it feels like it's hesitating, and you know all of your coil packs as well as your spark plugs, everything's clean over here. You have no oil, no water, no head gasket issues or anything like that. Basically, once you take this air box off, which is basically a clamp there, and 2 screws, and you take this air box off, just always put that hose back on. Like I said, you'll get a vacuum leak and you'll start having issues, okay? And what you're going to see here is this is actually your accelerator module here, and you just simply want to clean that out. Get the proper spray, clean it out, let it dry thoroughly, put it back together, and you'll have no issues, okay? And that should do it. Always make sure your air cleaner is good, your oil, and these things are pretty much bulletproof, but don't overheat these things. That's all I can tell you. You're going to have a head gasket issue. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Any other questions, I'll do my best to help you out. Thank you.